I'm Madeline Huett, I'm 23 and I'm a model.
And I'm Simone Holtznagel and I'm 18 and I'm a model. I think from what Maddie's told me and what we've talked about, I don't think we were ever like bullied, but there was a lot of people I know who didn't like me for no particular reason, but I wasn't ever like bullied like hardcore. I used to like walk past the girls the year above me at school and they'd be like, eat a cheeseburger, and just say really stupid things because I was really thin.
Yeah, I used to get the same. People used to call me fish lips because of my really big lips. And people used to call me Anna for like anorexic, but I was never like hectically bullied.
Yeah,
like, and the whole like online bullying thing was never like huge. Like I used to get like emails from people like saying like, oh, don't be at this place at school at this time, otherwise I'll beat you up. Yeah. But it was never like really hectic. Like I never used to go home crying or anything like that.
Yeah, I used to have people, if I was invited to a party, like girls would be like, don't come, otherwise we're all going to bash you. I'd go anyway because I didn't want them to think that I was like scared of them, even though they would kick me out and try and bash me. But I always had like my older sister and her friends there like to diffuse the situation and make sure nothing would ever happen to me. But then at the same time, I was always so scared to like go to a party or something because Wollongong's such a small place. Everyone used to be at the same parties and it was always the same girls at the parties I used to go to going, don't come or we're going to bash you. So I'd go and like stand in the corner. It's just so scary. And then some people would just be like, don't worry about it, they're stupid. Like I didn't end up like, I always went even though I knew they were going to be there. There was this one party and they're like, don't come, we're going to like bash you and kick you out. And it got to like 8:30 and everyone was at this party and I was just sitting at home and I was like, And then I was like, actually, I'm going to go. I don't want them to think that I'm like scared of them. So I went.
During Top Model, I think we both got a lot of flack from heaps of people. There were a few girls on the show, I think we were probably two of the main ones that just got a heap of stuff said about us, and people would say, like, I don't know why Madeline's on that show, she'll never be a model, rah rah rah. And like
I just used to get people just like, I fucking hate Simone. And they used to use the most heinous words to talk about me. I used to get called like the marshmallow man and stuff because they were all like, she's so fat, she shouldn't be on TV. And just used to be like, she's just awful. And it got to a point where I like got death threats and stuff, and I actually had the people who ran the page for Foxtel and they rang me and they're like, we just want you like to make sure that you're okay and know that we know what's happening and we're like monitoring the situation and just don't let it get to you. And I was like, I didn't really have a point where it got to me, but when I got the death threat I was like, oh my God. And then that was when it did start to get like really hectic, like a midpoint of the show, when I started to get heaps of bad stuff said about me. And there was like, I can remember one time I was like, and got really down about it. And then every other time I've just been like, I think you just have to remember, everyone who does say it to you on the internet, then if they saw either of us walking down the street, they wouldn't come up to us.
They would never say it to our faces.
They would never come up and be like, you're so ugly, get off TV.
You'll never be a model.
Yeah, they'd never do that.
On Twitter, a lot people say stuff and like, I don't know, just like on the Facebook page, like especially when the show was running.
Yeah.
And there was like a reality TV like forum that people
they still even go on it and write stuff.
People still write stuff on there now and the show hasn't been on for
months. And they write bad stuff about like, because we all have our own individual forum and they all write like mean things, and it's like especially like with Monty, like she just walked for Chanel and they're like, oh, what's she gonna do next? She's gonna be a one-hit wonder. And I'm like, calm down. There's still bigger things to come. Like she's just done one show, like she's not gonna drop off. And they're like, oh, she should be doing so much more than that.
They
like,
just
she's
never
just started out.
Yeah, they just never want people to succeed. Like as soon as someone starts doing something good, they feel like they have to bring you down.
Yeah.
People love watching it, but they never want you to succeed. But then if you don't succeed, they'll be like, oh, I knew that was going to happen.
I don't understand if they love the show so much.
Or if they just love
and then they watch it, but then they rip everyone to shreds who's on it. It's so mean. And I had people who I'd like hadn't spoke to in years. Like there was this one girl who was like, Simone bullied me at school, and I'm like, Well, no, I didn't. We just never got along and we both stayed out of each other's way. I wouldn't exactly call that bullying. And also, like, I had someone who was like, Simone was so mean at school to my cousin's friend's daughter's niece or something like that. And I was like, if you can give me a name, I'm sure I would never do anything like that. So I think you're just saying that to try and bring me down.
We definitely got, like, a lot of good stuff said about us as well. I think we both did, but yeah.
But it's always the bad stuff that you remember.
Yeah.
So.
And I find on Twitter, like, people will say, like, the nicest things to you, but then as soon as someone says something bad, you feel the need to, like, write back and defend yourself. And then people are always like, why do you only reply to the people who are being nasty to you? And you're just like, because they're the ones that, like, stick with you and you remember it. And you kind of feel like you have to defend yourself, I guess.
But then even if you say something back, you can, like, never win.
Yeah.
They're always still going to think.
Yeah.
Like, if someone
like
said something and you try and defend yourself, they're always like, oh, yeah, but... And you're like, well, actually, no. And they're like, yeah, but this. And you're like, oh, okay.
You're never going to win.
So it's just easier to say nothing. The producers, they were just always like, don't worry about it. There's always people who are going to have their opinions. And that's, like, exactly what Charlotte said.
Yeah, Charlotte was always really good.
Yeah, Charlotte was always really good with me. Well, with all of us, but, like, we're really close with her. And she's always...
She's helped us a lot.
She's always just like to me and Maddie, she's like, just don't write back, don't give them, like, the time of day. But it's hard not to. Like, when someone's saying, like, calling me stupid or, like, a dumb bitch, when saying, like, heaps ugly and that you're fat. I'm like, not fat. Not fat. I'm not fat.
There are so many more platforms these days for people to say stuff to you.
And
like, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's online forums, there's everything.
Instagram.
Like, even on Instagram people write stuff. Like,
like, we both uploaded the same photo the other day on Instagram. We chose, like, different colour filters, and someone wrote on Maddie, said, like, Simone chose a
better filter. And I was like, are you serious? Like, find something better to do with your time than tell me to choose a better filter on Instagram. Like, that's what I don't get. Like, if you don't like someone and if you don't like what they're doing, just don't be nasty, just stay out of their way and don't say anything at all.
Yeah, that's like when we joined the show, like, people who really like you, like, they'd set up, like, a fan page, and, like, we both didn't run ours, and I would sometimes go on mine and there'd be awful posts, like, written on the walls and stuff, and, like, of this page, but you have to like the page first to be able to write something. So why go to all that effort, find it, like it,
page
write
someone
something
that you so clearly don't like. Like, just don't pay any attention if you don't like us.
Yeah, I think you should, like, not ignore it completely, but if it gets to the point where you can't ignore it anymore, and it usually does, then you should, like, obviously tell someone about it, or, like, I would probably confront the person, but I don't think that's a brilliant idea if they really genuinely hate you.
If I wanted to give advice to someone who wasn't in the public eye and they were getting bullied on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, I say just block the person, don't have anything to do with them, don't give them the time of day, because the more you write back or retaliate, they're going to keep going with more stuff and it will probably just get more hurtful the more things they say.
And, like,
so
I said before,
don't give them a chance to. Like,
like, what were we saying before? Like, they'd never come up and say it to your face. That's the whole reason why there is online bullying.
Because people are too scared or not gutsy enough to come up and say this stuff to your face.
Yeah, I had my cousin. She went to a school where her dad was the teacher and she used to get bullied so badly, and she was just so upset about everything, and it just got to a point where she went to England for 2 months to live with to stay with my auntie's, like, friend or something, because it was so bad, and she just had to, like, leave. And she was only, like, 14 or 15. And it didn't even matter that her dad taught at the same school, they still did it. Useless.
I think it's crazy though how young it starts. Like, I've got a niece who's 6 and I used to live with my sister and her husband and my 2 nieces, and one day my niece Josie came home from school and from kinder and she was bawling her eyes out, and she was like, these 2 girls wouldn't let me play with them because they said I was ugly and all this, and I was like, how do kids learn to be so nasty so young? Like, how can one 6-year-old say to another, like, you're ugly, you're not allowed to play with me? Like,
then weren't you like, Josie, do you think I'm ugly? Because you look exactly like me.
I said to her, I was like, do you think I'm ugly? And she was like, no, I think you're beautiful. She was like bawling. And I was like, well, you can go and tell these girls that you look exactly like me because we look like the same person. I was like, you look exactly like I did when I was your age. So you're not ugly. Don't even listen to them. Go and find someone else to play with who's not a little brat.
I think you just also have to remember not to get so caught up in it, because at the end of the day, it usually is only like 1 or 2 people, and there's going to be way more people that you're going to meet in your whole life.
There's always going to be way more people that like you
than hate you.
That's
a very good point. I've never had anything like mean written about me, but I've had just like stupid things, like I post too many photos on Instagram. Apparently I've got heaps of free time on my hands.
Too many selfies.
Too many photos a day, and I'm like, well, 1, they're not all selfies. There's usually just 1, and 2, it's usually like when I'm out doing things. But I've never seen that person. But there was someone who wrote something about me. Like I was at the Arias, and they were talking to me, and they're like, oh, what are you wearing? And I was like, oh, and he's like, what's that skirt made out of? And I was like, oh, it's made out of latex. And he goes, how'd you get into that? And I'm like, how do you put anything latex on?
Lots of lube.
I was like, you just got to put like lube on it and slide it on. Open the paper a couple of days later and it's like, greased up Simone offers too much information. And it turns out I had a bottle of lube in my bag at the Arias, which was not true, but I've seen this person and like, it's fine. I usually don't take things like that too serious. I think it's funny sometimes that they have to write, if you've got enough time to go write an article that I post too many photos on Instagram, I think you should be worried about how much time you have on your hands, not me. Don't follow me if you don't want to see them.
Or find something that's actually newsworthy to write.
Yeah, none of that. The fact that I wore a latex skirt and I put it on with lube, that's not newsworthy. That's just doing my bit for the world of fashion, I suppose. The best advice that I can give someone who is a victim of any online bullying is just try not to worry about it, even though it is really hard, and you just have to think that if that person saw you on the street, they're never going to go up and say it to your face.
One piece of advice I would have for people being bullied online or anywhere is just really try not to worry about it. I know it's hard, but you've just got to think that these people are probably just really insecure in themselves, and they probably don't even mean half of the stuff that they say.
Become a community brave mentor, and together we can change the world.
Together we can change the world.